Hi, and welcome to our presentation for 8th grade students and parents at Oconee County High School. We are excited that you will be joining us next year, and we hope that we can help you have a smooth transition from middle school to high school. We are also going to be posting our presentation on our website, bit.ly/warrior counseling, and it is also going to be posted under the parent presentation slides with other presentations that will be posted as the year goes on. We have 4 counselors in our department. Mr. Guthis works with students last name A through D. Miss Bell works with students last name E through J. Miss Roach works with students last name K through P. And Miss Bennett works with students last name R through Z. This presentation, we're going to give you an overview of what 8th grade is going to be like. We know the 4 years can feel overwhelming, so just know that this is just a tidbit of what to expect as a 9th grader at Oconee County High School. So with the transition from middle school to high school, just going over a few things that are going to be different. In middle school, classes do not earn a credit, and this can be confusing when students do come to high school because credits are required for graduation. Students do need 28 credits to graduate. This is something that we'll go over a little bit later. And actually, to be promoted to each grade, there are requirements as well. So a student needs 5 credits after their freshman year to be placed into 10th grade. 12 credits after their 10th grade to be placed into 11th, and 20 credits to be considered a senior. Another thing that is a little different about middle school versus high school is that there is more responsibility placed on the student. Students are expected to keep up with their work and to contact their teacher when they do have concerns about their work, and to make sure that they are staying up to date with what needs to be done. In middle school, sometimes this responsibility falls on the parent, as we know. So in high school, we do expect that the students do take more responsibility. Another thing that is a little bit different is in middle school, students take what's called connections classes, and these connections classes are not always classes that students get to choose themselves. This is something that's different in high school. We will go into the more specific elective choices later in the presentation, but students definitely have more of a voice in what they want to take, and students tend to like this. There are also more extracurricular options. We have clubs and athletics and even different elective options that students can join. And we do highly encourage freshmen to get involved once they start at Oconee County High School. And it's not hard when there are so many different options of things that they can join. Here at OCHS, we are on a block schedule. This means that most students have 4 classes a day, and all of these classes are 90 minutes. It does give more students over the 4 years to take more classes that you want or need. And so by the end of their 4 years, they have the opportunity to earn up to 32 credits. There are some classes, and it can get a little bit confusing. There are some classes that are year long, like math and math support, and these classes occur on an A day or a B day schedule. We will go into that a little more in depth, but some classes are year long, and this is just for students that may need extra support in math. There are also some classes like AP classes and honors classes that are year long, but for the most part, our classes occur on a block schedule. We did talk about in the previous slide that students do have more responsibility, but on the flip side, as a positive, they also have more freedom than they did in middle school. They are able to, sit where they want in the lunchroom, whether that be under the pavilion or outside in the courtyard. They have the freedom to go to their lockers when they want in between classes, or to sit with, if they have different friends that are in another grade, they can sit with them at lunch, or even with some of our elective classes, CTIE or fine arts classes, different grades are intermingled, and sometimes students find this fun so that they can have classes with students that they haven't had classes with before. So just to go over, how do we know what classes are taught at OCHS? There are some courses that do have a prerequisite. This means that there is a class that they have to take before. So when you are looking to register for your classes, make sure that there is not a prerequisite. Some of our CTAE classes do have an intro class that they need to take. All of these courses are available on our resources tab on our OCHS website. And also make sure when looking at these courses to see what year they are offered, because some of the courses are offered not every year, but instead every other year.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Guthus. My first portion of my part of the presentation is to talk about how students earn credit for classes. You must have a grade of 70 or higher to earn a credit for a class. Now, I know most of you will probably have higher than a 70, but a 70 is the minimum to obtain that credit. If a class is required for graduation, you must retake a class that you have failed previously. For example, if you fail ninth grade literature next year, which hopefully that will not happen, you have to retake that class to earn that credit in order to graduate. You must have a minimum of 28 credits to graduate, and we will make sure that you all have these credits before that time. Okay, there are 3 different types of classes at the high school level, pretty similar to what you're doing at the middle school. There are core classes. These are English, math, science, social studies. For example, accelerated algebra is a core class. Biology is a core class. Another example is CTAE. Some of you are taking these classes currently. An example of this would be agriculture or healthcare or engineering. These are the career, technical, and agricultural education classes. These courses are open to all students and teach real-world skills in addition to academic content. The third group of classes are academic electives. These are additional required courses that must be from English, math, science, social studies, foreign language, or even some CTAE courses. An example of that would be animal science technology, which is an agriculture class, but also an academic elective. AP courses. Some of you have already heard of AP courses before. Some of you might be taking an AP class next year in AP government, but these are college level courses sanctioned by the College Board. And if you score well enough on the exam, there's an AP test given at the end of the year. And if you score high enough on that exam, you can earn college credit for that class, depending on that score. And we have several different AP classes that you can take throughout the 4 years of high school. And then elective classes are any courses extra. These could be weight training, it could be team sports, anything can count. Any extra academic class as well can count as a general elective. Okay, these are some terms that may be new to you all. At the high school level, we have milestones for certain classes. Now, before COVID began, this counted as 20% of your final grade for these classes, okay? You don't have a milestone in every class, only certain classes. An example of that for next year would be algebra, or if you're taking algebra now. Also biology. At the end of the semester, you will have a milestone for that class. We don't know what the percentage will be next school year, but before COVID, it was 20% of your final grade, that one test. Okay, another term that may be new to you are pathways. And these are different classes that you can take in sequence and in order, and you can get a pathway completion on your high school diploma. An example of this could be the foreign language pathway. If you take 3 Spanish courses, you will get a foreign language pathway. If you take 3 AP courses, you will get an AP pathway. If you take 3 chorus classes, you will get a fine arts pathway. And also, there are several different CTAE pathways as well that you can take during your 4 years. Okay, graduation requirements. You have 4 units of English. You will pretty much take one of these per year. An example would be 9th Lit next year, 10th Lit your sophomore year. Math, 4 units of math, 4 units of science, 4 units of social studies, and then health and PE, and that is required before graduation. You have a combination of CTAE, fine arts, or foreign languages in any combo, and that's 3 units of those that are required. And then also, we're going to talk about foreign languages as well later on in the presentation, but you can also take 2 Spanish classes, 3 Spanish classes, whatever the case may be, 3 German classes, and that will satisfy that requirement as well. It could be 3 fine arts classes, and it will satisfy that. But it can also be a combination of any of those in CTAE, fine arts, or foreign languages. Academic electives, I mentioned those earlier. 3 of those are required for graduation. And that can be any extra English, math, science, or social studies, foreign language, or certain CTAE courses that can be taken. And then additional electives, that is 5 units required. And then that brings up your total of 28 units. And I know this can be overwhelming right now, but we will be keeping in touch with the students each year to make sure that they are getting everything they need for those requirements.
Hi, this is Cindy Roach, and I'm also one of the counselors at Oconee County High School. And I'm going to talk a little bit about foreign language options. We teach 4 different world languages or foreign languages at Oconee County High School. We have French, German, Latin, and Spanish, and we offer up to AP in all of those courses. There is a note there. It says if your son or daughter is going to sign up for level 1, they must also sign up for level 2 in the same year. Because we're on block, one of the advantages of being on block is that a student can do level 1 and level 2 in 1 year. So let's say that a student signs up for German 1 and 2, they would finish those 2 levels in 1 school year, which is an awesome advantage of the block schedule. So one of the questions we typically get is, should my student take a foreign language their freshman year? So that's a great question. And that is definitely something that I'm sure you guys are thinking about. There is a group of students in the 8th grade that are taking Spanish 1. Then if they're doing well in that, they will continue on. So that would be a yes. Another question, are they a really good student and do they make A's and B's? And do they study on their own without you having to remind them? Taking a foreign language is going to add an academic to their schedule both semesters. So that is something that you need to process. And so if they're taking the 4 core and then you add a level 1 and a level 2 of a language, you are adding a lot of rigor to their courses for their freshman year. So that needs to be a consideration. That's not every student that needs that situation. Most students in our building take their languages their sophomore or their junior year. I would say, the highest percentage of our students take that route. The majority of our students do not take their language as a freshman. So, and that in part is because that it just fits better that way. And then another thing, just a word of caution: students who are not strong academic students may just need a year of maturity, a year of handling high school, a year of seeing what math, science, social studies, and English is going to be like at the high school before diving into another academic requirement or another academic course. And waiting until the sophomore or junior year does not prevent upper level languages to be taken. Students can still take through AP if that is a goal. So we do have a number of, and Mr. Guthis went over what Career Technical Agricultural Education, or CTAE, you'll hear that abbreviation referred to, but we have a number of CTAE elective opportunities, and that's exciting for students and a great place for them to figure out maybe what they're interested in. You can see the areas or the pathways that we offer through agriculture, information tech, computer science, marketing, education, through our family and consumer science program, engineering, and the healthcare science pathways. When looking through the registration documents, one of the things you'll notice will be a listing of those courses that are open to rising ninth graders. And so they can look through there and look for the ones that they might have an interest in. We also have a number of fine arts electives. We offer art, visual arts, we offer chorus, all levels, drama, all levels, and also band, both marching band and symphonic band. So one of the questions we sometimes get is what academic support is offered? What do you do when your son or daughter may be struggling, or how could they improve, or what steps do they need to look into to just find some extra help? We do have after school tutoring. It's a lot of times it's referred to as instructional extension. That's usually the way you would find it on our website. It's offered by each academic department. So English department, social studies, science. The schedule is usually set in the spring and in the fall. So you can always check our school website under resources and look for instructional extension. That just means after school tutoring or remediation, or just basically help in that subject area. We also do reviews for milestones, and those are kind of extra tutoring that's offered at the end of each semester that is available to all students. So if that Algebra 1 milestone is approaching and your son or daughter needs some extra review, that's a great opportunity for them to work on that. We have an organization called Warrior Student Tutoring. That's peer tutoring. So that is completely ran by students. And at this time it is in play, and we hope to continue that. Students pair up and they schedule their own tutoring sessions before or after school, and help each other out in subjects such as math, physics, social studies, things like that. All that information, so it's just kind of your one-stop shop, would be under the resources tab on our OCHS website. One of the other things that we're excited for your rising ninth grader to become involved in our school and a part of our school and the experience. We just want it to be the best it can possibly be. And we offer tons of extracurricular and club activities. And we really encourage every student in our building to find their place. And that means find a club or organization, find an athletic organization that they want to be a part of. We are really encouraging it. We would ask that you encourage them. All our rising ninth graders are eligible to participate in athletics their first semester. Beyond that, they have to remain academically eligible by passing 2.5 out of 4 classes. So really 3 out of 4 classes every semester in order to remain academically eligible for sports, and competitions and things like that. In terms of clubs, we have a variety of clubs, from service to clubs associated with some of our career and technical classes, that they can find their place to just jump in and be a part of our school.
Hi, my name is Jean Bennett, and I'm the counselor for students whose last names begin through R through Z. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Hope Scholarship and the actual registration process. As we all know, Georgia provides the Hope Scholarship for academically strong students. And to figure out what your Hope GPA is, all academic classes that are taken while in high school go towards that. Now, that can be kind of complicated on the surface, and we're going to give you all a lot more information over the next few years at our fall parent nights. But an easy way to think of Hope Math: for every C your student makes in an English, math, science, social studies, or foreign language, they have to make an A in another class in that area to counteract it. So if you're not a good math student and you make a C in algebra and an A in algebra support, it counteracts it and brings it to a B. So we're looking for a 3.0 or B average on a 4.0 scale. The students' classes that they are taking in middle school that count towards high school GPA, such as some math, some Spanish, their physical science, they do not count towards Hope, but they do count towards their overall high school GPA. So if they slip up and maybe that physical science grade isn't as strong as it needs to be, and they make a C in it this year, it's not the end of the world. That's not going to hurt their Hope GPA. Another thing we hear a lot of things about is rigor courses. And kids and parents panic over rigor courses because the state's definition of rigor is much different than what we think and what you as parents and students think of as rigor. There's a nasty little rumor running around, and has been for years, that it has to be AP classes. That is not true. We will give you a list of rigor courses next fall. And to give you an example of what some of them are, every student's Algebra 2 class, and then if they take pre-calc or advanced mathematical decision making as a senior, those are rigor classes. If they take chemistry or anatomy, those would count as rigor classes. If they take levels 2 or 3 of a foreign language, those are rigor classes. So kids usually start picking those up their sophomore or junior year, and most of our students don't really have an issue meeting that requirement. And like I said, we'll be giving you a lot more information about Hope, getting your student involved, and just how to have a high school student next fall at our parent nights. Now, how are you going to know what your student needs to take? When your students bring their forms home, and that's going to be January 29th, all of the recommendations for English, math, science, and social studies, their core courses, will already have been made by their current teachers. We strongly suggest that you follow these teacher recommendations. These teachers have worked with your students all year. They have met with our teachers. They know what is expected at our courses up here, and they have a good idea of where to place students. The goal is to create a balanced, but at the same time challenging schedule for each student. And this is where it gets a little more difficult, because this is different for every single kid. Your student may not be taking exactly the same classes as your friend's student. Or if you have multiple kids, they may take very, very different paths in what they take level-wise and elective-wise. So you really need to talk to your student and find out what they are interested in and what is going to challenge them over the next 4 years. On our registration site, we have videos from our faculty going over all the classes that we offer, both electives, core courses. If you've got a kid who's already wanting, hey, I'm going to take AP Calculus. Okay, let's listen to what the AP Calculus teacher has to say about what that class consists of. Okay. We do have quite a few honors courses, and honors courses are not just for smart kids. They are designed for talented and motivated, high-achieving students. A student who is intelligent but not willing to put in the work is not going to be very successful in these honors courses. And our honors courses serve two purposes. They can provide really great preparation to prepare kids for advanced placement courses later on. And they also provide a level of challenge for students who may not want an AP course or be ready for an AP course, but they need to be pushed a little harder than they are in an on-level class. Placement for honors courses is made by teacher recommendation every year. Typically, if a student is not doing well in an honors course one year, they're not going to be recommended for it the next year. And the emphasis in an honors course is not just learning more. It's not learning more vocabulary. It's not learning more dates in history. It is going deeper into the content, more critical thinking skills, more independent work. For example, in an honors lit class, they may be reading a book outside of class that they're going to do a book group discussion on or a project on, while in class they're working on something totally different. It's not uncommon for those students to be given a lot more independent study rather than the teacher directly teaching everything. Sometimes it's going to be read the material the night before, come in, let's discuss it a little, and then let's take that knowledge and really go deep into it. Our best advice is to sign up for the honors courses your student is recommended for. Occasionally we'll have parents say, oh, I didn't want to sign them up because people said no kid does well in 4 honors courses. We have a lot of kids that do. We also have a lot of kids who maybe they only need to be in 3 or 2 or 1. So the goal is to challenge your student where they're at, not as compared to the class the 9th grade class in general. There is an AP opportunity at 9th grade for recommended students. Our most talented and bright social studies students will be recommended for AP Government, and Oconee Middle will let you know when that recommendation process takes place. It usually does not take place during this first registration window. What we want kids to do is find balance. And things to consider while you're trying to find balance for your students. How much time do they currently spend studying? If it's none, they may need to budget some. We want kids to be challenged. When I have bright kids come in and say, I'm failing because I've never studied before, that's actually a good thing. We want them to have that challenge while they're in high school, rather than that hitting them in college. How many hours a week are taken up by other activities? Are they one of those rare birds these days, that 3-season sport? Have they faced an academic challenge and learned to kind of what I call embrace the struggle and get through it? If not, they need to be pushed. And do they have clear strengths or weaknesses in certain academic areas? We have a lot of students who may be very strong in 1 or 2 academic areas. Maybe they're really great math and science students, but they're not the best writers. They're decent writers, but they're never going to land in an AP Lang or an AP Lit class. So maybe they're going to do on-level Lit or honors Lit, but be in AP Stat and AP Calc and AP Biology and all of our AP Sciences. So you can mix up the levels of courses to customize your child's strengths or weaknesses. And if you want to hear from some of our current students who are part of our Chick-fil-A Leader Academy about how they have discovered how to find balance, there is a video on our registration site called Finding Balance. And they'll talk about all of the things they're balancing and juggling and how they've made it work. The registration process. Your students will get their registration forms on January the 29th. And you will work with your student to select enough electives so they have a total of 8 courses and 3 alternates. Please choose your alternates very, very carefully. Anything listed as an alternate can be used in developing the schedule. So when a kid comes in and goes, but I didn't want Intro to Business. Well, it was listed as an alternate, so it's fair game for the computer to put into the schedule. Students will actually register in their classrooms at OCMS between February the 3rd and the 5th. Oconee Middle will give you those specific days and times. I would suggest that you have your registration form done and signed. Both the student and the parent must sign the form before students can register, and I would have those ready on the 3rd. If you disagree with a teacher's recommendation, you can waive your student out of that recommendation and waive them up to a more difficult class or down to an easier class. We offer that because as parents, you do know your students best, but please take this decision very, very seriously. 8th grade teachers at Oconee Middle, this is my 22nd year, at Oconee County High School working with that school, and they have always done a very, very good job of putting students where they need to be. They do not want your students to fail. They want them to be successful when they're here. So they put a lot of time and energy and thought into this. If you really feel the need, like that your student is being placed in the wrong class, contact their current teacher. Ask their teacher, why did you make this recommendation for my child? Let them explain to you what their thought process was. And that will help you make the decision whether or not to waive them up. I would say a majority of the kids who are waived up into a harder class do struggle a bit. And for some kids, it's a little more struggle than they were ready for. Some kids, they struggle that 9th grade year and they work through it and they figure out what high school's about and they go forth and everything's great. If you are allowing your student to waive up into a more difficult level or drop down a level, they must have that waiver attached to their registration form when they go to register at Oconee Middle. If it is not, they will not be allowed to register for that course on the waiver. In that case, they will register for what they're recommended for, and you will bring the waiver to us at the high school at a later date, just whenever you get a chance. If something happens after registration, let's say by May, maybe your student has always done great in math, and I always use math because that's the most confusing one, but they get mono. They're out for 6 weeks. They are not ready for that on-level algebra that they were recommended for. And y'all decide, you and the teacher decide maybe they need to be in the algebra with algebra support. At that time, you can sign a waiver and we can put them back in there. But please, if you have concerns about these course selections, please contact your students' current teachers. They will work with you. They will help explain their thought process and help you make that decision. One thing to let you know about math, there is going to be some specific math videos about the differences between on-level support, which is an all-year math instead of one semester, or accelerated. The difference between those levels boils down to speed. The speed of the accelerated math courses is pretty much a new topic a day, where the on-level course is a new topic every several days. And then you double that for the math with support. And the math teachers at Oconee Middle can explain why they're recommending students for what they are. We are very excited that your kids are joining us. We wish we could do this in our normal format where we have them in the building and y'all in the building with them, walking around and getting to meet our teachers. But we will get that opportunity soon enough in August. A copy of any presentation this department does over the next 4 years will be found online at our Warrior Counseling page. That also has a lot of information about stuff you don't need to know as an 8th grade parent, but you might want to know later on, such as dual enrollment, taking the SAT. So feel free to go there, look for any information you might need. And we look forward to meeting you and your students next August when they become freshmen at Oconee County High School. Thank you.